Hi, welcome to Chad's Silversmithing. Before we get too far into the video, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, that helps to get my channel promoted, and I do appreciate that. I also appreciate comments, so if you have a question, an idea for a video, you want to tell me how you do things, or you just want to say hi, those are all great things to do. So leave a comment if you'd like. So I'm getting started at about I'm getting started at about 9:30 at night tonight, so I'm going to do something that's sort of quick and something I've been meaning to do for a while. So I'm going to try and make as perfect of a spherical hollow form as I can out of silver, and I'll probably put a little hole in each end and run a 14 gauge or a 16 gauge wire through it. I haven't decided which yet, but it'll be good practice using the dapping block and seeing how close I can get to a perfect sphere. So I'll show you what I do. And before we do that, I wanted to thank some people. My patrons over on Patreon are my core group of supporters, and I truly value their support. They're a great group of people, and I really enjoy having them as supporters. They're a great group, and I couldn't do this without their support, so thank you for that. The other group is my YouTube subscribers, and we just passed 21,600, I think. That's amazing. Thank you for that. Thank you also for the super thanks and the buy me a coffees. Those kind of things really help with the material costs going up so high right now. So thank you for that. All right, well, let's get started on this. This is one of my design idea sketchbooks that you can get on my merch store. I find them super useful. In recent times, I've started putting useful charts on the back of them. This one has gauges to inches to millimeters, which I find pretty useful. There's a number of different charts on the backs of various ones. But what the real value to me is this grid pattern in the background that's kind of subdued, but it also helps me to keep things kind of symmetrical because drawing is not my strongest suit probably. So, and it's a great way to keep track of your projects. I've filled up 4 of these now, I think. So this is also where in my ebooks that you can get on the merch store, you'll get this page from each of the projects too, so you can see my original drawing as well as a final picture and stuff. So today is going to be kind of a simple thing, I think. We're going to try and get as close to a perfect sphere as we can. I've struggled with that in the past. When I first started doing this, I did not understand how to use the dapping block very well. Hopefully I've learned a little better, and we'll see. I picked some 22 gauge sheet. I thought about using 18, but I think that might be a little thick for what we're doing, so I cut 2 discs out. These are about 16 millimeter discs, I believe. Let's double check that. It'll be interesting to see how much smaller the diameter is when we're done. So yeah, it's 16-ish, I think. So I'll try and remember to measure it after we're done, and we'll see how it works. But the things you'll need, I used a disc cutter to cut those out. You could just cut them out with a saw if you wanted to, if you're good at that. I have a set of dapping punches, dapping block right here. I also have this other dapping block that I use sometimes. I seem to have misplaced one of my punches, so hopefully I can get by without that one, but I think we'll be okay. So our first step, though, is going to be to, I think, we ought to drill holes in the center of these, because when you go to solder 2 closed things together, it traps gases inside, and so we definitely want to have a release valve for those gases to escape when you're soldering them. From what I understand, if you're just doing the one thing and you're not going to solder anything else to it, it'll be fine. I haven't tested that. So I would just be super careful, but definitely if you're going to solder things together, make sure there's a hole in it somewhere. We need to find the center of these 2 discs, and then we will drill a hole. You have to forgive my mess. I had a really busy day, so I did not have a lot of time to clean up or anything. This is a center finder, which is pretty useful sometimes. Alright. You can either, to make a little dimple there at the center, you can either use a little tiny ball burr, or you can use a center punch or something like that. I use this old awl that I have. It works pretty well. It's a little bit sharper than the center punch that I have, honestly. Let me see something real quick. I bought these a while back and I haven't really tried them much, so maybe we can try and see how that does for a center punch. Or should we risk it? I just don't know if I'll get it perfectly centered if I do this. We'll see. I guess I probably could have skipped the center punch then. That worked pretty well. I think I'll just use that instead of drilling. I know somebody's going to ask me where I got this, and I don't remember. I don't know. Somewhere online. It's only good up to a certain thickness of sheet. After that, it becomes pretty useless. Close enough, probably. Okay. So before we do this, I think I might file the edges just a little bit. Make sure they're symmetrical. All right, we'll start out with one of these. Use a big-ish one. Big-ish? Remember all that pent-up angst you have? Hammering stuff helps. The reason I don't like this block as much as I like the other one, it goes from this size down to that size. And that's too big of a jump, really. So we'll do a little bit more here. And I think we can switch over to that other one. I find I have the best luck if I don't just put them straight in the bottom like that. I mean, you can do that, but also tip it up a little bit on the sides and make sure the sides curve upwards a little bit. If you feel like it's getting too hard to shape very easily, you can always stop and anneal it too. I don't know with these little ones, I probably won't need to do that. We shall see. You can see it's not nearly half a sphere yet, so once we get it to where it's more in a complete hemisphere kind of configuration, I think we can kind of measure the outside diameter there, and then we should have it, this dimension from here to here should be half of that, I would think. That's what logic tells me anyway. See, now we're starting to get into where it doesn't quite fit in there. So I'll move down on our punch a little bit. One of the things I thought when I first started was you had to use a punch that corresponded exactly with the size of the hole, and that's not true. One thing about making silver balls like this, see we're still kind of oval shaped there, is I think it gives more of a sense of, you know, size without having all of the weight or the expense, and so it can be kind of nice to create the look of something a little bit heavier without, you know, breaking the bank. Let's see where we're at size-wise. Size-wise, where's my little... measuring caliper thingy-bobbers. Unfortunately, these aren't metric, so I'm just going to kind of stick out 0.48 that way. Almost 0.48. So just a tiny bit more, maybe. See if we can get it to go eensy weensy bit more. That is about 0.488. So that's about 0.478. So wider this way than this way. That gives me a little room to file these ends flat again. So let's do that and see how close we get. 0.76 maybe. 0.75. That's pretty darn close. So maybe we can try and solder that together now. What do you think? Seems like a fun experiment. You'll see that the outside is pretty beat up, but I can probably smooth that out with the Dremel a little bit, and maybe even a little sandpaper to kind of get it symmetrical. So let's see if we can get these lined up nice. I think I might use this soft Patron that was given to me. Let's set it on. You know what might be kind of obvious to do is to run a little wire through there, or a T-pin. How about a T-pin? I'll try and help keep them where they're supposed to be. Not too far off, anyway. I haven't talked about that. I use primarily hard silver sheet solder. I'll occasionally use one of the other types, but mostly that. And I use a liquid flux that I drip on with a dropper bottle. My torch is a Silversmith model. It's their acetylene air torch. It draws in atmospheric air through the little hole there and mixes it with the gas in the nozzle. It's a hotter torch than a propane torch, but not as hot as an oxyacetylene. So it just pumps in atmospheric air instead of oxygen. So I find it to be just about perfect for silversmithing. And I use a #1 tip for just about everything. I keep meaning to get a 0 to try to, experiment with that and see if that has much of an effect. But for most often I just use the #1. But, so I do pick soldering as well, and I'm going to do that on this one, and that's where I find my pick here. There it is. I use this titanium pick to pick up a little bit of solder and touch it where I want it to go. You could use a little paste solder on this with some hard paste solder, but either way you get kind of the same results probably. It might kind of stick it together if you did that, but why should we make it too easy, right? So we got a big enough hole to where I don't have to worry about any gases getting, anywhere we don't want them to be, hopefully. The question is, do I have a delicate enough touch tonight, starting this late, to not bump things out of position? The trick to pick soldering really, and if you want to see a video about it, I'll put a link up there for you. It's one of those useful skills, but it takes a little bit of practice. The trick to doing it well is waiting until it's the right temperature to where the solder will just jump right off of there. And I have a tendency to try and jump the gun because I get a little impatient. Like that. Let's take a peek and see where we're at. Let me find some sandpaper, and I had a thought about how to get this smoothed out nicely. Oh, I had a thought, and I'm not sure if it'll work or not. I picked out a little diamond burr that fits in there. But I was thinking, let's put a little masking tape on there, on the burr. I can't see what I'm doing there. This goes in right here like that. But in order to get it tight on there, I'm going to put a little masking tape on the burr. Let's flip it around. This is a little 600. Let's see if it does anything. That definitely helped. It's smoothed it out quite a bit. I may have to do a little bit more hand shaping just to make sure it's, you know, pretty symmetrical. Okay, I'm going to do a bit more of this, then I'll come back. Okay, so I got it mostly cleaned up. It's relatively round. It's not perfect. I have a little bulge right there. Nobody wants an unsightly bulge like that. But I think when I polish it up a little bit more, it might get rid of some of those inconsistencies, but we'll see. I thought I'd take this piece of 14 gauge wire and ball it up on the end to be a little way to suspend it. So we'll just melt the end of that. And that'll just sit on the bottom like that. But I can use this also to help me polish this, I think. So I'll polish it, and I'll probably polish this bar too. And then we can just put a loop on the top there, and you could run a little chain through it, or a piece of leather, or whatever. Or you could use it just as a regular bead, you know, string it on, make a whole bunch of these and make a string of them. So that, in the 70s, that was a big classic kind of look where you had tapered silver balls, a great big one in the center, and then they gradually get smaller as they go around. I always thought those were pretty cool. So, but yeah, you could, it might take a while, but you could do that. So I'll polish this up as well as this, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. So I've got my little shiny silver ball now, and I actually got that pretty good. It's not 100% perfect round, spherical, I should say, but to the casual glance, it's very close. You know, we'll see on the close-up photographs I just took. But to turn it into something that someone might want to wear, let's stick this through there. Oh, and it started out as 16 millimeter discs, ended up being about 11.9 millimeter sphere. So. Okay, I will get that cleaned up a little bit with the Dremel. Probably polish the inside of that because I dinged it up a bit. And put it on a chain and get some more pictures. Okay, well that was the silver bead or silver sphere hollow form. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, make sure to hit the like button before you go. I'd also love it if you'd take a moment and check out my main channel page. I have almost 500 videos now. I've been doing 3 per week for about 3.5 years now, so there's quite a bit of content there. I'm almost positive you'll find something else that you like or find useful there. So check out some of the projects over there, some of the techniques, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. So the other thing is, don't forget to hit the video description down below. There's some important links there. There's a link to my Patreon if you want to find out more about that community. It's a nice group of people with a lot of knowledge, and you can certainly tap into that, as I have, if you become part of that group. There's a link to my merch store if you want to get yourself one of those nice design idea sketchbooks. Those are great and a great way to keep track of your projects, and I have found those invaluable in recent years. There's also a link to buy my ebooks. There's 2 different ones. There's one for 2024 and one for 2023. Each one covers all of the video tutorials I did in that year. And there's a link to each of the videos, as well as additional information about each project. Materials list, difficulty rating, extra information about things that I learned from the project or ways I might do it differently if I did it again, things like that. So it's a really useful guide to a whole bunch of projects right at your fingertips, and a nice way to support my channel. So thanks in advance if you buy one of those or both of those. There is a deal if you get both of them for $5 off instead of the normal price of $35 a piece. So, all right, well, thanks for watching. Take care. Happy silversmithing.